There's times when I've missed acquisitions I should have taken the risk on. I should have had more belief. So they're regrets. A lot of people don't take risk. Sometimes they don't believe they can solve the problems. Whereas I sort of feel like I don't see the answers here yet, but we'll work it out together. If there's a project that can be done, do it and don't expect anything from it. Got to do and demonstrate that you can do something, and then leaders will come back to you and say, oh, that was great. Can we do this one? And then, I think those things sort of build on.
Sam joined the family business Kennards Self Storage in 1991. The company had 14 storage centres operating at the time and has since grown to 126 locations, employing over 400 staff across Australia and New Zealand.
I always had ambition to run it, and I articulated that. He handed over to me in late 1994. He literally came down when I was running one of the stores and said he's resigning and moving to the US. Wow, that's sudden.
The biggest mistake you see people make trying to build wealth.
They fail to understand.
Private markets investments are investors can find some real value. I find the best way to learn is learn from someone who's done it before and given it a go. Hi, I'm Travis Miller, host of Grow Your Wealth podcast. Thanks for joining me here today. On these podcast sessions, we're going to talk through how certain investors have navigated the bumpy road of investing, whether it be through business or investments in general. Thanks for listening today. Welcome back to the Grow Your Wealth podcast, where we bring you insightful conversations with industry leaders. I'm your host, Travis Miller, and today we have a very special guest joining us, Sam Kennard. Sam joined the family business Kennards Self Storage in 1991, appointed CEO 3 years later, taking over from his father. The company had 14 storage centres operating at the time and has since grown to 126 locations, employing over 400 staff across Australia and New Zealand. Along the way, Sam has worked in customer-facing roles in the business, as well as operations, marketing, construction, finance, property acquisitions, and development. His extensive experience in property development and self-storage industries puts him in a unique position to comment on industry trends and business expansion. Sam's career has also included large-scale acquisitions and mergers of multi-site self-storage groups, which has given him plenty of insight into succession planning, cultural leadership, strategic growth, adaptability, and innovation. Let's dive into our conversation with Sam. Welcome, Sam. Thanks for coming on. We normally kick this off with, start at the beginning, give us a summary of sort of, what you get up to day to day, a little bit about your background, and we can sort of run from there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm grew up in Sydney, born and bred in Sydney.
Yep.
And went to university at UWS Hawkesbury, did a land economics degree, which is a business property degree, which ended up equipping me pretty well for the storage business, which I came into during the recession of 1991, which not many people remember, but it was pretty tough then and pretty tough in property. So that sort of set me in the career of self-storage.
Gotcha. What were you like at school? Were you a
I was
studious
average.
type? Or no?
I was fairly average, actually. I had to work hard for my marks. Definitely had to work hard.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
And where was the university again?
It's Richmond. It was UWS Hawkesbury, and it was Hawkesbury Ag College when I started. Wow. It changed.
Yeah. There's not that many ag colleges around anymore.
No, well, it's not really an ag anymore. It's it's university. But yeah.
Gotcha. And so a couple of people. We'll start with like a few people influenced you a little bit during your sort of life and career. Do you want to touch on a couple of people?
Yeah, I worked with my father, obviously, so that was a huge influence and impact on me and my career. It's interesting. I think if you work with your family or with your father, it is challenging, and trying to take the best things from someone with a great deal of wisdom without kind of some of the baggage that you bring in as a family member can be quite challenging. Some other people, there was in the self-storage industry, a guy called Buzz Victor, who was a legend from the US, who my dad had sort of befriended in the 1980s and who has stayed close with me. For even to now, I get emails and we correspond regularly.
Gotcha.
So that's really nice. And Uncle Pete's Toys, Peter Piggott. He was on our board for a while, and he was a great mentor to me too. But
Gotcha. So how old were you when your father started the business?
how old was I when you started? Well, I was 3. It was 1973.
Yeah.
So it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And
in the childhood, did you spend a lot of time at work with your dad? Was he what was he like? What was that?
So the family business actually goes back in the hire business where my grandfather started that in 1949, I think, or 19. And so that goes back a long way. And then the hire business was the main game in our family through the 70s and 80s. And it wasn't the storage business was really a side hustle of my dad's. Like from 1973 to 1991, we only opened 8 locations. Like it really wasn't the main game.
Yeah.
So as a kid, I used to actually work more as a young kid in the hire company.
Gotcha.
You know, I'd make a few dollars packaging staples and nails for the nail guns for the customers to buy and spend some time cleaning yards and working on the weekends in the hire yards. It wasn't till the university days that the pivot occurred with my father and sort of my interest in it too.
I understand. So how old were you when you started working packing boxes?
In storage.
Yeah.
Well, there was holiday work when I was at school. I was a labourer in a couple of our development projects at Wetherill Park and Campbelltown.
Yeah.
And so cleaning units, numbering units, doing some basic labouring jobs on the construction sites. And then during the holidays, I would sort of have a customer facing role. Again, in the operating store, not in a not in a build store. But full time was 1991.
Yeah, good. I suppose that's what I was getting at. Sort of family business. Just how early in life does Dad make you start earning $1 and helping him out? That's where I was coming from.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's great. Hey, if you're enjoying this, please subscribe on whatever platform you're using. It helps us build a community. We want to educate investors, and this is what it's all about. And like a couple of pivotal moments. Obviously, taking over as the CEO. I think that was, would you say 91 area, was it?
94, late 94, yeah.
So we talked about pivotal moments. Presumably that was one of them.
Yeah.
And so if you look at where you've taken it to 126 locations now from where it was, it's a pretty impressive achievement.
Yeah.
Do you want to take us through a couple of?
Well, my dad was he was a very entrepreneurial guy, and he tended to get bored easily. So when the business, I always had ambition to run it, and I articulated that, and I had a team around. My dad had a team around him that was very supportive of that, and so when he handed over to me in late 1994, it was push me in the deep end kind of behaviour. Like he literally came down in December 94 when I was running one of the stores and said he's resigning and moving to the US. And I was like, what? Okay. But he said, I'm leaving Boxing Day. And it was December.
Wow.
And it was like, and I was like, wow, that's sudden. But, but we had like 13 or 14 stores. I think we were sort of building another one. So we say 13 or 14. But I had support of the leadership team, which was really, really good. And the business was simple. It wasn't broken. I didn't have to rescue anything. I was set up pretty well to continue to kind of add value to it. Really, I didn't have to fix things, which was really, really good.
And do you think he was thinking about that for a while, or did he just get up one day and reckon the kid's ready?
He knew I wasn't ready. He's only a phone call away, and it was sudden. But I think he thought that was the way he did things. It was like a sink or swim sort of thing, and he trusted that it would more likely swim.
Yeah.
So I think that was just his approach. Really.
It sounded like you knew you had some good people around you to help out on the next steps.
Yeah, there were some well-established people operationally who understood how all the things worked.
Yep.
I did too, but I was very much my dad would give me lots of projects in those early days, and I had a huge appetite to do them. So I was the one sort of taking the business forward anyway. So he could see all that energy there. But from the day-to-day admin stuff, I think other people could very easily kind of look after that. So,
yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Very impressive. And so we say, pivotal moment when you took over as the CEO. And then is there a number, presumably there was a few days and times when it wasn't going how you thought, or it was going how you thought. Was there a couple of times in the journey that you can tell us about which was pivotal?
Yeah, well, there was some big moments. I mean, generally when you do development, which is the way we've grown, it's the way we still grow back in the day, you couldn't buy existing storage centers. You could only build them because not many of them. So we would develop, and that's obviously a very risky game where projects can go off the rails, costs can run out of time can run over. And so that's obviously got a bit of stress to it. But I think from a leadership perspective, there were some key moments when I took a huge lesson in my own leadership style and the culture of the company. That was in 1998, when our staff turnover had gone a bit higher. There was a little bit of gossip and sort of disgruntlement within the business. And one of my key people sort of sent out the flare on that, really, and it was kind of a shock to me to discover what she had revealed. But then once I unpicked it all, I saw that she was what she felt was true. It wasn't entirely true what she said, but there were problems. And so from then on, I actually reflected on my leadership style, on the leadership team I'd put in there since I'd taken over. Started to measure culture, started to develop leadership around kind of styles and the way people behave. So we've been measuring culture since 1998, which I think in today's era would have been very much on the forefront of culture thinking in corporate Australia. Sure. That was key for us in terms of trying to create the sort of company that I wanted to lead. That was one thing. I mean, another thing, a few years later in 2004, we bought our major competitor.
I saw that. Right.
Miller's Self Storage. They were number one, we were number two. And we had 29 locations. They had 27, but they were bigger locations, all Sydney. Well, not all Sydney, but very Sydney dominant. And so there were more employees, more revenue, more square meters. And so we were essentially number two buying number one. And it was a huge leap for us, and it was a real game changer for us as an organization, and turned out to really remake us into enable us to hire better people, hire more specialists within the business, and take us to a new level of kind of operating performance and kind of,
Gotcha. I'm assuming the answer to this is going to be yes, but financing, because it sounds like most of your career you've had to probably finance something, right? So you've financed property developments, financing acquisitions. Is that something you've learnt, or you've always sort of been strong on it?
No, I've learnt it in the marketplace. That's how I've done it. My dad had existing relationships with banks. They were great, fine, and then they weren't. So I went to market. I learned a lot about how finance works when you take your debt to market. So it was kind of through that, and then through several refinance opportunities or moments in the business where I stepped up and took it further. Got more debt, or and it was really debt was more comfortable for me than it was my father. So I could think and kind of be comfortable with it more than my dad could.
I mean, given the growth you've had, right sizing for debt is critical, right? Because you've been through multiple business cycles, and it's often when businesses get in trouble, they stretch themselves a little bit too far, take on too much debt, cycle turns, business operations can be slow. It's just so critical for a business to survive and grow like you have. You've clearly right-sized the business across the journey and still grown. Because you've got to take some risk, right? You've got to take on some debt, use other people's money at times to grow.
So most of our growth in development is funded through cash flow, not a lot of leaning into the balance sheet. But when we take the big steps, like when we bought Miller's, that was a big debt step up. And then we bought, we had a partner in that, and then we bought the partner out. Again, that was another change for us. And this year we bought 13 locations in July in New Zealand, in Auckland.
Great.
And so that was another big funding kind of question for us. In the process, we've also sort of changed the way we fund so that we have a better relationship with the banks. That sort of we don't get pushed around as easily. So,
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying this episode. If you want to learn more about alternative assets, there's a book here you can read, How You Grow Your Wealth with Alternative Assets. Now back to the episode. It's a good time to be a borrower. There's a lot of competition, a lot of money looking to deploy. If we go back to your acquisitions, what was the decision-making process? Because clearly you're taking risks. You got to have some courage to do so. How does number 2 take over number 1? You
Yeah.
sit around in the boardroom, or what sort of calculation goes on? Or is there a degree of you got to wing it to a degree?
No, there was a lot of analysis. I mean, when you know the business well, you sort of know the levers and the risks. There were obviously, when you're buying out another operating business, there's an overhead there that's duplicated. So you've then got to execute on removing that. That was a new experience for me, was to retrench a head office essentially, but and then close down that and work through that. You know, in business, you do have to take risk, and you do have to think about the downsides, but try and ring fence things to some degree that you can. But other times you do have to have a bit of faith and take a bit of a punt.
Yeah, and like you said, to merge the cultures too, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Which would have been difficult.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people don't take risk because they don't believe, they don't have all the answers, but sometimes they don't believe they can solve the problems. Whereas I sort of feel like, I don't see the answers here yet, but we'll work it out together. We'll work out how to solve this. And, you know, it's not at a level that is actually we're not betting the farm each time. So.
And it sounds like the business you took over was in a very, very similar business line, right? It's not like you were taking over Woolies or something.
That's right.
Totally different area.
Yeah,
Made some sense. Now, in day-to-day business, what drives you? You know, what motivates you to get up in the morning?
Well, I don't know. I'm very. I've got a great team. It's a delight to run a business that is tangible, that customers can touch and feel, and we can touch and feel customers, and we're not moving paper around. I don't, or executing contracts and sort of doing that kind of business. So I think having a consumer-facing business is fun. Every day there's a marketing challenge with being online, winning the eyeballs on Google through SEO or paid search, pricing. We change prices every day. So we're quite a dynamic kind of business in that sense. So and things are changing all the time, and there's a lot of innovation that comes through the business. So that's good. For me personally, I really like the acquisition and development. That's it kind of gets things going. And when you can actually the entrepreneurial piece of identifying a site, figuring out what you can build on it, how you can build it, and how much you're going to build it for, how you're going to rent it up, all of those things. Every investment we make is another entrepreneurial leap, and that really, I think, is really exciting, and the staff really enjoy seeing a company that's growing.
For sure. How complex the DA process? I know this is how long is a piece of string, but for the storage world, is it as complex as a large resi subdivision or a commercial building development?
Well, we're across all jurisdictions, and every jurisdiction is different. So New South Wales is the worst. Okay. Absolutely is the worst. It's complex. It's expensive. There's layers of consultants. There's layers of referral agencies. The swamp of the state government referral agencies are really difficult, whether it's Transport for New South Wales or the water, or for if you have to and ecology questions, they're really, really tough. And the residential subdivisions would have huge equality questions, I think, if they had to do them. We mostly do, we do greenfield and get into some areas which you're very surprised you have to survey for native grasses or something like that, when it used to be a caravan park for 100 years or something. So we do have to do those, but, New Zealand and Melbourne are easier with their permitting. Right. There's always some point though you run into where the bureaucrats take control, and you've got to work with them.
You gotta be patient, I guess.
Yeah.
Politely patient. Yeah. It's pushy. What onto the sort of more philosophical side of things? Like, what advice would you give to someone looking to step into an entrepreneurial type business? Running their own business and building it up across time.
Well, so if you're thinking about scaling a business, and which I think that's the kind of the question, is to start their business is one thing, but to scale it is the other. And my dad handed me a book when I was starting, and it's Michael Gerber's The E-Myth, the entrepreneurial myth. It's really good, and it talks about creating a business around systems and systematizing everything you do, so that you can replicate. So I think, those kind of mindsets are important. And I think that was probably an influential book for me at the beginning to to think about it. But even now, as we grow, we reflect and go, well, don't we all know that? No, we haven't. When my leadership team was smaller, we all knew certain things, but now we've got a bigger team. Some of that knowledge isn't across the team, and now we actually have to systemize some of these things that we actually all kind of knew. So we're still doing it.
Interesting you say that. My business is nowhere near as big as yours, but as you grow, you do assume everyone knows. You just think, because I know it, everyone else should. But you just sometimes you look and go, how come they didn't know that? And then you realise it's your own fault.
Yeah,
you haven't told them, or you haven't put someone in charge of it, or given someone the responsibility to run it.
Yeah,
you got to stop assuming as the business grows.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, a couple of things onto what has worked in your career.
What's what?
What has worked?
What has
in your
worked?
career? A couple of things you think you've done well. Sounds like you're pretty driven and motivated. We'll give you that one off the bat.
Yeah.
What else has worked for you?
I think we've stayed in our channel, and we've become really, really. I mean, I didn't grow up with self-storage expertise, but I've learned it, and then so when we've just become really good at the self-storage operations, marketing, but also in our we're quite selective or preferential around the kind of property we want to own.
Yeah.
So we don't really compromise, or don't want to compromise into kind of smaller fringe second-rate properties, locations. We tend to try and maintain getting the best premium locations, and it's harder to do that. But the discipline of maintaining decisions to get prime locations has been something we've stuck to, and we stretch our returns. We'll stretch them as we will push them down for preferred locations. Like if the barriers to entry are high, we know when to stretch for that. But for the most part, we've been pretty disciplined about actually acquisitions.
I can see that from the outside. When I look at your company and the brand, I can see it's pure to what you do.
Yes,
it's storage.
Yeah. We try and brand execution is another thing we're very kind of manic about in the business, is making sure that the look and feel is consistent. And if you go in, like from the outside, even if they're slightly different design buildings, because we convert old warehouses or factory buildings or build new, there's still a theme through them that is consistent and you can pick up about us. But equally about when you go into them, inside the stores should feel very similar or the same. Yeah,
that's great. Now the flip of that question is the bumps in the road, things that have gone wrong.
I mean, there's times when I've missed acquisitions. I should have taken the risk on. I should have had more belief. So they're regrets, I guess. There have been a couple of times when I've probably overpaid, and it's taken me some time to catch that up, which I probably didn't. I got a bit swept up in times. So I think a couple of acquisitions that are taking a while to sort of bring the returns back to us.
Yep.
And then I think as a company grows, you've got to then reflect on the people in the business to make sure that the same people who were good at a particular time are the right people for us to go forward. Yeah. And that there's been a few mistakes in that over the years, or holding people too long and not.
I do get that point. Is that because in the early days you sort of have this degree of loyalty of kind of being with you for a chunk of the journey, and then you're sitting thinking about the next path. You go, is that just because that person's been with me 5 years, 10 years? Are they the right person to take?
I think so. 10? And they were great, to a point, and then you can see where the business is got a bigger geographic footprint or a little bit more sophisticated in some other ways, and they haven't really come that next point. And it could be because they didn't want to, and I never asked them. And there could be a bit of that desire, or it could just be that they can't. And so you got to sort of go through that and
that's a very good point. As the business grows, on that front, people and culture across the journey. Key learnings for you. I think you mentioned, was it sort of 98? You sort of culture become a big thing for the business. Yeah. And sort of what are the couple of learnings on that front?
Well, I think there was a thing about my leadership style that probably wasn't very authentic, and pre that. And so I was probably modeling a behavior that was a bit more command and control than my natural style is.
Yep.
So, that disruption of that 97, 98 period really kind of revealed to me what perceptions people had of me, and I was behaving differently than I would perhaps with my friends or with my family. Yeah. And so to sort of find the strength of being authentic and being yourself and that being okay to be a leader was a bit of a change for me. Yeah.
Hey, if you're enjoying this, please leave a review. It's really important to us. We're trying to build momentum around education, and better reviews will get more people coming and listening. And so was that more and it was probably that era too. So you're more sort of the domineering dictator type boss. So then you realised I need to be sort of more of an inclusive type approach.
Yeah. My dad had a slight tendency to be that too, but he was equally kind of really wanted to collaborate, get everyone's involvement and do that as well. Yeah. But I probably lent more on what I saw in that kind of command and control style than I should have. Yeah.
I understand. It's good you made the change.
Yes. Yes.
And now top tips for people, wanting to improve in business. If you were to sit down with, 21-year-old, you've probably got kids, what are the sort of tips?
Go to work.
Get out. I've got the same. I'm saying that this morning. My kid, get a job.
Well, yeah, don't work from home. So I do this thing with my new employees that come through. I do a Q&A with them, and this question comes up quite often. So it's an open forum question where they can ask me anything they want. Quite often they say, how do I? What do you recommend to get ahead? Or and I sort of think that maybe. So you've got to sort of, I think you've got to articulate the ambition to somebody, to people around you, to your boss and to the boss, your boss's boss. And then you've got to be just willing to learn. Just consume books. Yeah. If a company's offering courses, go do courses. Micro-credential yourself. Do everything you can, I think, to improve yourself. It's not, and you have to. You sort of have to pay it forward too. Do projects. If there's a project that can be done, do it, and don't expect anything from it. I think you sort of got to do and demonstrate that you can do something, and then leaders will come back to you and say, "Oh, that was great. Can we do this one?" And then I think those things sort of build on someone's career in terms of the experience, but also in terms of future, the appetite to improve.
There's something to be said for initiative.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you see that young kids come in the workplace and they'll work 9 to 5 when they first start because they think the contract said 9 to 5. Yeah. And then a couple of years later they realise, look, it's not really about 9 to 5. It's about sort of doing the job and sort of learning more, helping the business and evolving. And then the penny drops for them most of them as they develop. There's ones that work 9 to 5 for the rest of their life and they'll have a certain career. Yeah. The ones that sort of, take on the initiative. Yeah. Take on additional projects, try and learn more, get involved in the business.
Yeah. And I think, there's nothing wrong with the soldiers in the business. You do need soldiers who, want to be there long term without pushing for much progression. I mean, the people who progress and there's no room in the business, they leave and more power to them for that. But because they're probably adding value while they're there with you. Yeah. But you do need the stability of people hanging around too. So that,
True. Now, what's I was going to say, what's your definition of success and how you're achieving it? But clearly, your business is going really well. You've developed and built it, so I think you're achieving success already. But personally, what does success look like for you?
Personally, it's not a career; it's a lifestyle, really.
It's good.
So I do live and breathe the business and but really, it's when I'm off work, it's really generally all about the family and having time with the family and friends. But
that's good. Do you exercise?
What's
the daily routine?
Either the stand-up paddleboard.
That's good. Yeah,
a couple of times a week in the warmer months. And either just pretty long walks with either my wife or the dog. But
that's right.
That
seems like a pretty good balance.
Just like a little bit of gym. But,
Now I'm going to jump back to we're going to go into quick fire questions soon. But I'll jump back to AI. Obviously, you're hearing a lot about, right? Like AI can't build a building. I mean, maybe it can one day, but AI can't build a building for you. Is it AI in your business? Would it come through in sort of your pricing model and how you sort of adapt from information, because you mentioned ratings before.
Yeah.
You're obviously collecting quite a bit of data and collecting information. Is that something that'll flow through over time, you think?
I think it will. Yeah. I don't pretend to understand it that well, but I do think the ability to pierce the data in just with questions rather than having analysts run things and build programs, you could probably, like if you got your data sorted and you know how to ask the questions, you could probably get quicker, better queries responded to through that. I mean, internally, our kind of internal intranet operations manual has a very poor search function. I know I was sort of saying hopeful with my new employees the other day saying, well, hopefully AI helps us with our search on our kind of intranet tools, so that they're like, oh, that'd be amazing.
It's good you've still got intranet. I remember intranet when I was back in the banking days. They were always very handy. Yeah. But I mean, that's the other thing with AI, isn't it? It's just going to be the staff internally helping them write a document or helping them write emails or search information. So there's a lot of aspects to it. But it's not obvious on the surface that AI is immediately taking over the storage world. No. But it's definitely a discussion point. Okay. I mean, I would guess you probably worked most of your life, right? But your first job, if you go back as early as it started, what was that?
Well, that was a paper boy.
Yep.
I was delivering papers in Birchgrove.
That's great. Were you any good at it?
Well,
the papers got delivered.
Take the papers into the pub to the guy ready there, drinking the beers and collect the money. Yeah, no, it was pretty hard work. We're dragging that thing around the streets, blowing the whistle and dropping a few off at the houses. That was funny.
That's great. Piece of advice for your younger self. This is about you now, not your team.
Oh God, I don't know.
Tough one. It's always hard to answer questions about yourself.
Yeah.
But if you can think of it, anything you would have told yourself. Buy more buildings.
Yes. I should have bought we bought Moore Park after it was built by someone else, and I could have bought it off the original owner for a fraction of the price.
Fair. Now, what motivates you most as a person?
I think the idea of that you're making a difference and that what you do matters. And I think it's a bit about that culture thing that we try to get through to everybody in the business, that what they do matters and that they're getting listened to and that their ideas are heard. I think that really is something. Yeah.
Great. And now tips for driving long-term wealth.
Be patient.
Agree.
I think the advent of quick super wealth that you see around, which is very, the unicorn style thing, are unicorns, and that most people with enduring wealth have done it very slowly, gradually, patiently, and with a lot of diligence and care. So
I agree. I mean, that's a point a lot of people bring up. Don't rush, take your time.
Yeah.
And this is the contra question, really, but the biggest mistake you see people make trying to build wealth?
Well, I think that biggest mistake trying to build wealth. I think they don't. Either they don't understand, they fail to understand what they're working on, where their niche that they're trying to be, and they don't properly understand that. And as such, they probably take the wrong risks.
Yeah. Totally agree. I mean, when you're not working, how do you spend your time? You've already given us a bit of that. So you stand up paddleboarding, you go and walking. Are you a golfer? You're watching this footy or anything?
Yeah, I love all the sports. So I watch anything that's going. And we have a little farm property that we go to that we takes a bit of time.
That's great.
Yeah, so burn fire piles and chainsaw and clear tracks and
where
move the cows around. Just down the Southern Highlands.
Yeah, so I've got one up to the Yarramong Valley. It's good fun, isn't it? Get out, light a fire.
Yeah.
Build some fences, dig a hole, all that sort of random stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming on. If anyone's interested in connecting with Sam, you can do so on LinkedIn. We'll include the link in the show notes, but really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, if you're enjoying this, please leave a review. It's really important to us. We're trying to build momentum around education, and better reviews will get more people coming and listening.